has been divided into three major parts. There is the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. Now, the forebrain is the main thinking part of the brain, and one of the like you can say the major component of our forebrain is the cerebrum. Now, this cerebrum is responsible for reasoning. It is responsible for logic, emotions, speech, memory, visuals, processing, recognition, meaning every single thing that makes you you. The cerebrum is responsible for it, all of those things. Now, the midbrain and the hindbrain, they are responsible for controlling the involuntary actions. Can someone tell me one example of an involuntary action?
Pumping of blood.
Very good. Pumping of the blood, or you can say the
Digestion. Respiration.
Digestion, respiration, exactly. All of these are the involuntary activities. So they are under the control of the midbrain and the hindbrain. Now see, like the hindbrain, it has a part which is known as medulla, which is present at the base of the head. Now this medulla, it is responsible for controlling the involuntary activities, particularly the blood pressure, the salivation, and the vomiting. So again, these are of not under our control. So these are involuntary and they are controlled by the medulla. Now, the part of the hindbrain, which is known as cerebellum, it is responsible for the balance and posture in our body. We can walk straight, we can sit upright, is because our cerebellum has been developed. You can walk without falling, it's because cerebellum has been developed properly. And this thing, the cerebellum, is not very well developed in the case of babies. Now, apart from that, we know that the other component of the central nervous system is the spinal cord. And this spinal cord, again, you people know what are reflex actions? See, for example, if I hand you over a very hot cup of water, if you touch it, what will your reaction be? Your hand will immediately go back, isn't it? When you touch something hot or when you touch something very spiky, what do? Do we purposely move our hand towards it? No, right? We pull it back so as to protect ourselves. Now, how does that happen? How does this reaction happen? See, this is what is known as reflex action. Now, this part has been deleted in your books, I mean, in your chapters or syllabus, but still, let us just discuss. It's just that whenever in those kind of situations, those are the emergency situations. Now, what happens in them is that as soon as we touch something hot or we touch something spiky and everything, so the impulse is sent up till the level of spinal cord. The impulse does not travel to the brain because it will take a little bit more time, and that time we need a quick action, right? The reaction which is needed in the time of emergency or in the time of when you're touching something which is not normal. So in that we need a very quick action. So with that being said, the impulse travels up till the level of the spinal cord and the response is coming from the spinal cord. That is why we pull our hands away. Clear, students? And now we know that the spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column. Now this part, you people, like everyone has written down all of these parts? No? All right. Okay. So this was all about the brain. Any doubts, students?
Ma'am, I have to note from forebrain.
You have to know. Okay. All right. Any doubts up until now? Okay, students. Now see. Let us talk about the glands. We are done with the coordinating center of our body. Now let us talk about some of the hormones, or you can say some of the glands that are responsible for us performing variety of functions, or our bodies performing variety of functions for us. Now remember that in our body, there are two major types of glands. The first one is exocrine gland and the second one is endocrine glands. Now, exocrine glands are those glands that are connected with a duct system. A ducted gland, meaning, for example, let's just say this is a gland. Now, glands usually have their secretions, right? Glands secrete something. So these exocrine glands, they have a duct, sort of like a pipeline, so that whatever is their secretion, it will go through the ducts or the vessels. But when we talk about the endocrine gland, so they don't have any kind of ducts present in. So whatever is their secretion, they secrete it directly into the blood. There is no target, you can say there is no target area, they secrete it into the blood or they release it into the blood. So exocrine gland, they are the gland that discharge their secretions by means of ducts. Talking about endocrine glands, so these are the ductless glands and they secrete the hormones directly into the bloodstream. Clear, students? Now, students, when we were talking about the life processes, right? So in that we have studied about digestion, isn't it? Now, when we studied about digestion, you people remember liver and pancreas? Now, do you remember that when digestion was taking place, the ducts from the liver and, sorry, the ducts from the liver and the ducts from this thing, the gallbladder and the pancreas, they came together to secrete the digestive substances? Remember the ducts? So all of those, meaning the liver, which is the largest gland of our body, then all of those, what are they? Their secretions are mostly digestive juices, right? And they are connected to the digestive system by the means of ducts. But if we talk about the endocrine glands, they are not connected by any ducts. Any doubts up until now in these two things, students? No one has any doubts? Sure? Okay, what happened? Why are you people looking so sad today in the class? Has something happened with you all? All of you? All of you have made one kind of face. You're like, why? You people are okay, right? Everyone's good? Okay. Now, in this particular chapter, our concern is the endocrine gland. Okay. All of the types of endocrine glands are our main concern in this particular chapter. So these are the list: pituitary gland, thyroid gland, pineal gland, thymus, adrenal gland, pancreas, testes, and ovaries. All of these are the endocrine glands of our body, meaning whatever is their secretion, mostly their secretions are hormones. Remember that the exocrine secretions can be digestive enzymes and various kinds of enzymes, but the endocrine gland secretions are mostly hormones. Okay, so we will discuss each one of these glands in depth. Now the first one is the pituitary gland. Now this gland is known as the master gland. It is responsible for controlling most of our body's activities, maximum of it. So that is why it is known as the master gland. Now, even though it is a master gland, but it is very tiny. It is a pea-sized gland, very tiny. Now, where is it located? So it is located at the base of the brain. Okay, it is located at the basal part of the brain. It is known as the master gland as it controls the secretion of all the other glands. Now, the most important hormone which is secreted by the pituitary is the growth hormone. All of us have grown in height ever since we were born because of this particular hormone. And none of us over here are dwarfs, right? All of us are above average height, isn't it? All of you are tall? No. What is your height, students? Like how many of you are really tall and how many of you are like normal? I think Harshit would have been really tall. Isn't it, Harshit? Are you tall?
Yeah, ma'am, you can say just a few inches, like above average, I think I can.
Above average. Okay. So your height is what?
I don't remember, ma'am, completely actually.
Okay. Okay. Honestly, I am 5'4". So I'm also above average. So see, we all are above average. Why? Because growth hormone has been secreted, meaning our pituitary works well. Okay, so the most important hormone which is secreted by the pituitary gland is the growth hormone. Now, remember that if we are talking about any kind of hormone, there are two kinds of situations because we are talking about a gland. So we must know the variety of ways that it can function. So when we talk about pituitary gland, so for example, now growth hormone is not just the only hormone which is secreted by pituitary gland. It is one of the hormones. There are many hormones, but it is not for your syllabus for class 10. But remember that any hormone can be secreted in a lot of amount, right? If it is abnormal, like normally if 5 milligrams of growth hormone is supposed to be secreted, let's just say. Now, if more than 5 milligrams of growth hormone is secreted, do you think that's normal? Do you think that's normal? No, right? Exactly, it's not normal. And same way, if less than the desired amount is secreted, then that is also not like normal. So when less amount of growth hormone is secreted, we call it as the under secretion of it, under secretion. And when more than needed is secreted or excessive secretion is taking place, we call it over secretion. Now, normally, since this hormone is related or you can say connected with the height of the individuals, right? So if the growth hormone is under secreted, meaning much less than it is required, then the human being would not grow tall and that person would be dwarf. So it causes the disease that is known as dwarfism. Clear? So in all those, like you people might have seen dwarf people, right, on the internet and stuff. So they are dwarf is like the reason for them being dwarf is because the growth hormone is not properly secreted in them. So under secretion of the growth hormone leads to the disease that is known as dwarfism. Moving forward, just like how under secretion is a problem, same way over secretion is a problem as well. So over secretion of the growth hormone, meaning excessive secretion, and this leads to, for example, if excessive secretion of growth hormone is taking place in children, then that leads to a disease that is known as gigantism. Here, the child becomes really tall, abnormally tall, giant. But if this over secretion of growth hormone started to take place after the human being has turned into an adult, so then that leads to a disease that is known as acromegaly. In this disease, some parts of the body, they become huge. For example, hands, huge hands, normal body and huge hands. So that is a, you can say a symptom, or that is a effect which is caused because of the over secretion of growth hormone. So pituitary gland is clear to everyone?
Yes.
Any doubts? Does anyone have any doubts? Gianna, any doubts? All right. Now see, there is another gland which has not been mentioned in your book, and that is known as hypothalamus. You know, hypothalamus is very commonly known as the master of the master gland, meaning it secretes the hormones that act on the pituitary gland. And because of the secretion of hypothalamus, the pituitary gland secretes its own secretion. Okay, but remember that pituitary gland is known as the master gland. Okay, students, tell me one thing. Which is the largest gland in human body? The largest gland in human body. You don't have to mention its nature. Just tell me the name of the largest gland in human body. No one. It starts with an L.
Ma'am, the liver.
Liver. Yes, liver is the largest gland. It like weighs half to 1 kgs in weight. So it is a very big gland. Okay. Now, pituitary gland is clear to everyone, students? Does anyone have any doubts? Okay. Now moving forward, let us talk about the next endocrine gland, that is the thyroid gland. Now, thyroid gland, it is a butterfly-shaped gland. Now, butterfly-shaped how? For example, if this is the trachea, the throat area. So, the thyroid gland has the lobes that sort of look like a butterfly. It has lobes like this. Okay, it is present like this. Roughly, it looks like a butterfly. That is why they say that it is a butterfly-shaped gland. Now, it is located in the thorax, like throat area, this one, this part. Now, the thyroid gland is responsible for the secretion of hormone that is known as thyroxine. This thyroxine is extremely important for metabolism of our body. Have you heard that some people, due to the imbalance in the thyroid, or the, like you can say, the imbalance in the secretion of thyroid gland, there are some people that gain weight? Have you heard about this? Like people say, get your thyroid tested, thyroid levels tested. So why? Because the thyroxine hormone, which is secreted by the thyroid gland, this is responsible for regulating the metabolism. Metabolism is what? It is the breakdown of the food substances to release energy. Now, when that is done poorly, so the deposition of food starts taking place inside our body in the form of fat. And then the person becomes overweight. So that is why people that are, you can say, all of a sudden they have gained a lot of weight. So they get their thyroid levels tested. Now, iodine is very important to synthesize the thyroxine in the body. Where do we get iodine in our diet, students? Iodine. Where do we get it in our diet? Like, do we have iodine in our diet? Yes or no? Do you people eat iodine? Do you people have iodine in your diets?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how? In which form?
Seafood.
Salt. The table salt. Everyone has salt in the food, right? The table salt that we have, cooking salt. So salt contains iodine. Clear? Now, what happens just in case a person does not have enough iodine in his body? Then what happens? An iodine deficiency takes place. Now, iodine deficiency means the under secretion or the less secretion of thyroxine. Because if the iodine is not there, then the thyroxine hormone will not be synthesized properly, and it will be synthesized in the less amount. So because of that, less of the thyroxine will take place. And this one, when thyroxine is not properly synthesized and secreted in the body, so this leads to a disease which is known as goiter. Have you seen or heard about a disease wherein people have swollen neck? They have major swollen neck. That disease is known as goiter. Why does it happen? Because thyroxine is not secreted, because the thyroid gland is not functioning well. Clear, students? Any doubts up until now? So we have discussed two endocrine glands.
They say that some people have too much iodine. Is that like a deficiency?
Some
Not
people
like a
say,
deficiency, like a disease.
what?
They have
Say
too much iodine,
iodine,
too much salt.
too much fat in the body.
Salt.
Oh, salt. Yes.
That they're not
See,
allowed to eat salt.
yeah, see, it's not a disease necessarily, but consuming too much of salt is again very harmful for the body. Why? Because salt has this property of holding water. So what happens when a person has a lot of salt? You might find that that person has a very puffy, swollen face, swollen feet. Why? Because of water retention. This part gets swollen. Why? Because water starts, like the salt part in, like it starts holding the water, because of which puffy face, swollen body is one of the symptoms. So having too little of salt is also very harmful, and too much of salt is again very harmful. There is a dietary, you can say, notation as to how much salt a person must have in a day. That is like something a person should follow, and not eat excessive of you can say salty stuff. Most importantly, those packaged foods that are available, instant ready to make, like this Maggie, the noodles, they contain, like Maggie, one packet of Maggie contains the salt necessity that you would require for, I think, the whole entire day. So if you're having Maggie in one point of your day, then it means that you are done, meaning you cannot have any more salt than that. You getting me, students? Clear? Any doubts up
Yes.
until now? Okay, now you people can note down first the forebrain part, and then we'll come back. So we have actually discussed two of the endocrine glands. Okay, so you people have to note down from the forebrain, this part, right? Done, student? Done, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
Done, students?
Yes.
Everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Done, students?
Yes.
Done, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Done, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So do you people have any doubts up until now? Okay, students. So we'll keep it till here only for today's class. And in the next class, we'll continue from here. Okay.
Okay,
All
ma'am.
right.